CNN data analyst stunned by surge in black voter support for Trump. He said, my goodness gracious. I can't wait to see this clip. I haven't seen this clip yet. But so these people that live in their bubbles, these liberal elitist leftists that live in their bubble have no idea and do not understand why black people are starting to support Trump. Because they don't live the same lives we live. They're not struggling like us. They're living in their ivory towers in their bubble where they don't have to worry about putting food on the table or gas in their vehicles. So we're gonna talk a little bit about this. We're gonna show his shock. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things I can't talk about here. All right, so let's talk about this news here. Now, this comes from the Gateway Pundit's Mike LaChance, and he reports that CNN Harry Eaton recently broke down the surge of support for Trump among black voters and seemed stunned by the findings. He said, as we pointed out yesterday, black voters are deserting Democrats over inflation and extremism. The left, the loony left, they are so crazy. They're so far gone from the average American and Democrat voters, black voters who normally vote 90% Democrat. They are saying, wait, y'all are taking it too far. Y'all are confusing us. Y'all are confusing the children. Y'all are destroying the economy. And they're like, we're done. We're done. We're no longer voting for Democrats. Eaton notes that black support for Trump is especially strong among young voters. Fox News report, Trump's surge in polls with black voters stunned CNN analysts. Former President Trump's surge in the poll among black voters is a troubling sign for the Biden campaign, a data reporter warned Friday. Recent polling shows that the former president could get a historic boost from black voters in November if they continue to sour on President Biden, CNN data analyst Harry Eaton reported. I'm not going to play the quote here. I'm just going to go ahead and play this clip. Here we go. Let's see. I can't wait to see his reaction to this.
The drop off, right? Look, if you look at 2024, Biden still leads among black voters over Donald Trump, 69% in an average of polls. But look at this number for Donald Trump, 22%. Where was Donald Trump at this point 4 years ago in the polls? He was just at 9% of the vote. So he's seen more than...
Remember, he was 9% of the vote and still got, I think, what was it, 70 million votes. So add the more percentage to that up to 22%. Imagine the votes that Trump would get.
Then a doubling in his support among African Americans. This margin, which was in the 70s just 4 years ago, look at where it is now, 69 minus 22. That puts it in the 40s. My goodness gracious. If this held through the general election, obviously we're still months away, this would be by far the best performance for a Republican candidate among black voters in a generation, 2 generations, probably since 1960 and Richard Nixon against John F. Kennedy. That's how long we're really talking about when we're looking at this margin here. This could be a truly historic margin. It's quite a troubling sign for the Biden campaign, Sarah.
So where is Biden weakest among black voters? When you look at this number, who are they?
Yeah, who are these voters? And let's break it down by age, because I really think this gives you a good insight into what's exactly cooking here. Take a look here. If you look among black voters age 50 and over, you see that Joe Biden has a very substantial lead here. Look at this, 82% to 8%. This lead is still in the 70s. This looks a lot like what we saw in the overall polling back in 2020.
And that's because the older generation, they still watch things like CNN. They still watch mainstream media who's feeding them propaganda saying that everything's okay, the economy's fine. And these are the same older generations that normally believe in the mainstream media. So, of course, they're going to be high on Biden.
But look at voters under the age of 50. Look here. Donald Trump is pulling 25% of that vote. Joe Biden is at just 62%. 40% of this lead, Sarah, this lead is south of 40 percentage points. This is historic. This is what a lot of folks have been talking about, that Joe Biden has a specific problem among younger black voters. And that is exactly what's showing up right here. And this is, I think, a lot of the reason why you're going to see Biden focusing more on black voters, why you're seeing Jim Clyburn go out there. Don't be surprised if they go to more colleges, because the fact of the matter is, older black voters still really much like Joe Biden. It's these younger black voters who very much are turning on him and being much more supportive of Donald Trump than
And again, the reason is the younger generation are seeing getting alternative information, which is not the mainstream propaganda that's being pushed. That's why they are starting to sour on Biden.
they were 4 years ago.
Of course, this is not the only thing that Joe Biden has to worry about, although these numbers look pretty dire and very different than they did in the last election. So give us some sense of what else he needs to be thinking about here.
Right. You know, when we talk about elections, we talk about two things. We talk about persuasion, which we're seeing here with these changing margins, but we also talk about turnout. What's going on in turnout? Certain to vote. Black voters absolutely certain to vote. This is according to Washington Post Ipsos. If you look 4 years ago, 83% of black voters said they were absolutely certain to vote. Look where that number is now. It's 73%. So it's not just that Joe Biden's getting less juice out of the margins. He might have fewer black voters turning out and providing less support for him because they're going to be a smaller portion of the electorate.
One of the big things that the candidates have to worry about is whether people stay home, and that can be a huge factor.
And this is what this is saying may very well happen.
Harry?
They are terrified. They don't know what to do. I think it's hilarious, but you can't keep disenfranchising people and thinking nothing's going to happen. You can't keep promising these people something and they're going to end up getting the same results as always. People are waking up. I love it. I love that the leftists are terrified or scared. There's only one option for them to do now when it comes to the 2024 election. And I can't really speak on it on this platform, but so check out my Patreon and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But let me know what y'all think about this. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.